Hey everybody, it's Mr. Greg here from the Kindergarten Smorgasbord, and it's time for submissions for Smorgie Live. So thank you guys so much for joining us. So as you know, we have a new addition to our family, and so we are figuring this out as we go. So you know this is totally live. It's like live television, so you never know what's going to happen. We're all here. The Mr. is here. He'll be right back. So we're going to go ahead and start. Go ahead and start asking questions. Here she is. Here's Miss Adeline.
We'll get her out of here in a little bit and let you guys see her a little better.
So
if you hear the little grunts and grunts in the background, this is what you're hearing. And I'll go away if she starts crying.
So you'll probably hear her grunting and groaning. She loves to grunt and groan. And so we'll talk a little bit more about Adeline and the process of the adoption process and how things are going at the end. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I know it's a super busy, super stressful time of the year, as most of us are wrapping up our school year. So thank you for taking time out to join us. If you have questions, go ahead and start asking those questions and getting those posted. And remember, the more questions you ask, the more fun we have. And the more you give Jason something to keep himself busy over there.
Yes, because I do not have enough to keep me busy right now with a 4-week-old.
Right now, we're going to really challenge him with a baby and questions. We're going to see how good he is at these questions. So again, go ahead and start asking your questions, because that's why we're here. We're here to talk and collaborate and help each other. So start asking those questions. We are doing things a little bit differently. We've tried to simplify submissions for Smorgie Live a little bit. So you no longer have to go anywhere to enter for tonight's prizes. As long as you are here in the chat when the prizes are announced, then you're entered. So if you're here and you're chatting with us, you are entered for tonight's drawing. And so, of course, as always, we're sponsored by our friends at ESGI. And so somebody will win a free year of ESGI. And as always, you can use the code SMORGIE to get your 60-day free trial of ESGI. And that code will also save you $40 off of your first year. So check it out. It's esgisoftware.com. Use the code SMORGIE. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Somebody's going to win the TKS Bootcamp Bundle. And, you know, as we're wrapping up a school year, our minds always shift to next year and planning for next year and prepping for the next school year. So somebody's going to win the TKS Bootcamp Bundle, which is a year-long phonics and math curriculum. And so that's really going to give you a boost to planning and prepping for next school year. And somebody's going to win a $50 gift card to the TKS online store, which again is going to help you prep for next school year. And so as we're talking tonight, if you have questions about a new school year, the end of the school year, whatever you guys want to talk about tonight, it is an open discussion on submissions for Smorgie Live. So go ahead, start asking those questions, and we will get started. And remember, the more questions you ask, the more we can share and collaborate. And so again, you don't need to leave and go anywhere to enter for tonight's drawing. Just by being here in the chat, you are entered in tonight's drawing. So let's see if we have any questions.
We do. They're going. So bear with me here. I've got a baby strapped to my chest, and I can't really get to my keyboard or very close to the screen to be able to see these. So just bear with us tonight, please. So let's see. Question number 1. So this is from Kindergarten Snickers, aka Nikki Mason. Hi, Nikki. She says, we have 9 days of school left. Can you suggest a few different fun days? We already have Bubble Day, Chalk and Visor Day, and Ball and Die Day.
Yeah, so, and I want to say this, because I see this question a lot on the Kindergarten Smorgasbord Facebook page and in other kindergarten and teacher groups I'm in, is how can we keep our kids engaged and sane for the last few days of school? One of the biggest things, and I know it's super hard at the end of the year with so much going on, but what I have found is to keep things as normal and routine as possible until the very last day. So the day before the last day of school, you could walk into my room and my kids will be in centers. It's just about keeping that consistency for them. But we do a backwards boot camp. Since we start the year with ABC boot camp and do A to Z in the first 26 days of school, we end the school year with backwards boot camp and go from Z to A. And so you can go on the website, the kindergartensmorgasbord.com, and search for backwards boot camp. And we have a whole blog post about how we celebrate the end of the school year. We do donuts. Today we did glitter bombs. We've done, we do jeans day. We do hat day. crazy hair day, fly swatter painting. We do like color day. So, V was violet, Y was yellow, O was orange. So you can do those kinds of things. But again, you can go over to the blog, thekindergartensmorgasbord.com, and you can search for Backwards Boot Camp. And we have a whole list of how we celebrate those last few days of school.
This question's from Kimberly. Can't get my kids to be quiet when working in centers. They work as a team of 2. How do you get them to lower their voices?
So a couple of things. Number one, I might be a little different in this, is that I don't care that they're talking and making noise when they're in centers. My only rule is I have to hear what's going on in my small group. If I can't hear the kids at my table, then it's too loud. So that's kind of my limit on the noise. So a couple of things is, number one, play soft music. And the rule is if you can't hear the music, you're too loud. That really seems to help because it kind of gives them something to focus on to keep their voice down. The wireless doorbell can help. Sometimes they just need a reminder to use their quiet inside voices. So those are kind of my 2 things. And then just before we go to centers almost every day, I'll say, what kind of voices do we use? Just as a constant reminder to use those quiet indoor whisper voices when working.
This question is from A. Barn. How do your children share all their supplies? Mine would argue like crazy if they got a crayon box that was all broken and theirs were not.
So that's the beauty of community supplies. Because we have no tables and no desks in the classroom, we're forced to share everything. And so from day one, they have to share all of their supplies. And so it becomes something that's very natural for them, not anything they think twice about because they've done it from the very beginning. With that, with the community supplies, what happens is now you have a little bit of positive peer pressure to take care of those supplies and respect those supplies. Because you're right, if you break the crayons, your friends are not going to be happy with you. And so it really helps the kids take much more responsibility and have more respect for their materials. Something else that is a big help is I tell the kids from day one that it's not my classroom, and what's in that classroom is not mine. It's not my classroom, it's not my stuff. It's your classroom and it's your stuff and it belongs to all of us. If you don't take care of it, you're not gonna have that fun stuff to use to learn. If you don't take care of it, your friends are gonna be upset with you. Not Mr. Greg, but your friends are gonna be upset with you. And that really puts the ownership on them with their materials and their supplies. So that really helps as well.
Adeline has a question.
Adeline would like to know.
This question is from Laura. Do you do differentiated play? Is that built into your schedule? If so, what does it look like? Or developmental play?
So in our district, unfortunately, that is not something that is built into our schedules. It's not something that is what the district is looking for in our classrooms. So in order to compensate for that, that's the reason you see the classroom set up the way it is. That's why the kids are constantly up and moving and talking. That's why they have all that choice in the classroom. That's why I try to give them extended recess every day. That's why I try to make our centers and our learning as fun and movement-based and hands-on as possible because of that developmental play. And so even though our district, that's not what our district does, it's something that we try to compensate for as much as we can while still adhering to the district policies and mandates.
This question is from Amanda. Do you have a set curriculum that builds from K to 5th, or do you create your own?
So in our district, we do have a math and reading curriculum. We have Journeys and Go Math, but they're not required to be used. They are considered a resource, and so we don't have to use them. So what we do have to follow is our district scope and sequence, which really changed this year, and they really kind of are now forcing us to kind of adhere to that scope and sequence. And it's really, the way they did it is now built around anchor text. And so every 3 weeks is a new unit. And then within those units, we have certain anchor texts that we have to read and use in the classroom. And so we have to adhere to that scope and sequence. We have to follow that. And so that's been a bit of a challenge this year, trying to incorporate all of our hands-on fun stuff in the classroom. But we've done it. We've managed as a team. We've worked really, really hard to take that scope and sequence and make it engaging and fun for the kids. And so we can talk more about that if you have more questions about that, what it looks like, what's included. But we really have to adhere to that scope and sequence. And so it's just a matter of being creative and flexible and making the district requirements work with what we know is best for our kids.
This question's from 69 Zoe. What do you do with the glitter bombs I saw you prepping?
So we did those today. We posted the video on Facebook earlier. And so really what the glitter bombs are, just balloons filled with glitter. We hang them up in the classroom on letter G. Today was G for glitter bomb. We hang them up in the classroom. The kids pop the glitter bombs and the glitter goes everywhere. It's all over me, the kids, the classroom. And then of course we clean it up because we would never, ever, ever leave the glitter bomb mess for the custodians. But you can head over to our Facebook page and you can see the actual video of the glitter bombs in action today.
This question's from Laura. Just graduated with my early ed degree. Any job interview advice or advice for a hopeful K teacher?
So I'm not really good at interviews, so I can't really give you much advice, but always be prepared with questions that you want to ask about the school. I think that shows that you're genuinely interested. You've done some research. Also, one of the questions when I have been on interview committees for our schools is I always ask, what's your weakness? What's an area that you think you need to improve in or you can grow in? And so that's something to also think about with interviews. So be prepared to ask them questions to get to know them and the school, and then be willing to discuss things that you know that you want to grow in, areas that you want to improve in.
This question's from Charity. Can I ask where you got the jumbo Candyland pieces that I saw on your videos or blog?
The giant Candyland pieces came from Amazon, but there's also a company called Shindigs with a Z that they have really cool decorations and like giant Candyland pieces, giant Monopoly pieces. So you can check them out, but ours came from Amazon.
This question's from A Barn. Do your morning journals last around 30 minutes? Do they stay engaged that long without misbehaving, or do they have a second option if they finish their journal?
So the way the morning routine works is we have a 30-minute arrival window. And so the kids, it's a staggered arrival as they get off the bus, as they walk, come in from car riders or before care. They just come into the classroom, they greet me, they get a bounce on the trampoline, they eat breakfast. If they choose to eat breakfast, they can. Some kids do, some don't, and it varies day to day. If they eat breakfast, then they do their journal. If they don't want breakfast, they write in their journal. When they finish the journal, they can read. And so they're not writing in their journal for 30 minutes. They write in their journal till they're finished, and then they can clean up and read.
This question's from Lori. What is your rule regarding tattletelling?
So this drives my kids bonkers, and it cracks me up every time, especially as the year goes on and they've heard it a billion times. So they'll come up to me and you know the look, you can tell they're going to tattle. And so I stop them and I say, are you hurt? Are you in danger? Are you dead? If you're not, I don't need to know about it. So if you're not hurt, if you're not in danger and you're not dead, don't tell me about it. If you are sick, you need to go to the bathroom because you're not allowed to throw up on Mr. Greg because he throws up back. And so that's how I handle it. And they will be like, oh, and they'll go away. So that's kind of how we handle it.
This question's from Amanda. Can you elaborate on fly swatting painting? It sounds so fun.
Fly swatter painting, there's a blog post about it, so you can go find it. There's some videos on Facebook too. But letter F for our backwards boot camp is fly swatter painting. And so we typically try to do it outside, but for the past 3 years, it has rained every year on fly swatter day. And so we actually build a little paint booth in the classroom out of shower curtains. And so we kind of set up a booth made out of shower curtains. The way it works is we put paint on paper plates. The kids take turns. They wear goggles, and usually we have them wear a garbage bag over them. But we do tell the parents that it's happening and to send their kids to school in old clothes. So what they do is they dip the fly swatter in the paint, and they smack the fly swatter onto the paper. So of course the paint goes everywhere. It makes these really cool art pieces. No matter how well the booth is built, we always end up covered in paint. I'm always amazed when the kids get the paint in the back of their hair. So that's how we do it. It's a whole lot of mess, but it's a whole lot of fun. And again, you can find more on the blog, and there's some videos on Facebook.
This question is from CLL. What prep time, specialist time do you have in kindergarten at your school? Is it the same by county?
So I don't know by county. I will be willing to say it's not in Tennessee, because I could be wrong. But what we get is we get an hour a day, 60 minutes a day from, and it's the same time every day. So we have an hours. Sometimes that's for planning. So we have 2 days of collaborative planning, and then the other 3 days are usually free time for us to plan and prep during that time. But while we're doing that, the kids go to music, art, the gym, library, STEM, and drama are the ones. And so we get an hour a day.
Questions from Jill. I'm thinking about buying a wireless doorbell for next year. Do your students ever just tune it out? Do you ever change the tone?
So I typically don't change the tone. But what has happened a couple of times is the kids will figure out how to change it. And they'll sneak and change the tone. And when we ring the doorbell, it's a totally new sound, which I always think is hilarious. So sometimes we change it, the kids change it, but I don't. And they really don't tune it out. What I do is, if they do tune it out, I will just start rewarding the kids who respond. And so, I ring the doorbell. The first person who responds will get a Skittle, or we'll get, bounces on the trampoline. And that really helps the kids refocus on the
Maybe
doorbell.
it might be on your own tonight. We have a feeling this may not be a good idea to try to do submissions live.
Oh, bless you. Because normally she eats at 7 and she goes down pretty quick. But tonight she's like, nope, she wants to be on.
So talking about the wireless doorbell, would you elaborate on how you use it?
Yeah, so the wireless doorbell is my favorite classroom management tool. It's how we get our kids quiet. And so if the kids are working, if I'm teaching and they're getting noisy, or if I need them to be quiet and get their attention, I just simply ring the doorbell. The doorbell rings. The kids know that means stop. They put their hands down. They put in a quiet mouth and they look at me. Our doorbells are from a company called Sato Tech. You can grab them on Amazon or at the Sato Tech website. If you go to our website, thekindergartensmorgasbord.com, we have a link to Sato Tech, and I think they save 10%, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you go to that link on our website, to buy a doorbell, you'll save 10%. And so it really is it's a wireless doorbell. The receiver plugs into an outlet, and then the button I always hot glue it on a clothespin. And so I always just have it clipped on my lanyard or on my shirt. So no matter where I am in the classroom, no matter what's happening, if I need the kids to freeze and listen to me or to be quiet, I can just ring the doorbell and they know to stop, put their hands down, and look at me.
This question's from Alice. Would you be willing or able to share the anchor text that you use in your district?
I can. I can put a list of those together. I don't have them off the top of my head. But I will say this. They are considered rigorous. They are almost all two grade levels or more above our kids' level. And so they're very, very challenging text for our kids, especially because we have so many students who are EL. And so that's why you see a lot of the Read It Ups being created and a lot of new research projects being created, is because we're trying to provide the students the tools and the support necessary to access those very challenging texts. But I will put a link, a document together with those anchor texts.
And speaking of research projects, Laura wants to know if you have a social studies program. If so, what are the units or topics?
We don't have a social studies program in our district. That may change, how things come and go in districts. So that's why we have our research projects, is that's how we meet our social studies standards. And so they're the research projects. We've created several new ones this year. And again,
these are just a few of them.
Yeah.
We have over 40.
Yeah. And so you can go on the blog and you can type in research projects and you can see how they're used in the classroom. We've got some videos on Facebook of them in use. But that's how we meet our science and social studies standards, is using the research projects. So they're aligned to the state standards. They're aligned to the scope and sequence. And so that's our social studies curriculum.
Heidi says, besides your Read It Up, what other products do you have that I could incorporate in the second grade ELA? And speaking of Read It Ups, can you elaborate on what Read It Up is a little bit as well?
Yeah, so let me answer the second grade question first. And then I'll talk about those. But Read It Up will also work in second grade. So the research projects really, really work well in second grade. So, and I say that they're great for ELA because you're using read alouds, you're using books, and so the kids are learning to research and write, and so you're really pulling in some great ELA standards. So that's what we do during our ELA block is we'll do either a Read It Up or a research project. And so in second grade, it could be a little bit more of an independent research project. So the kids could do a little bit of the research and on the writing on their own. Whereas in kindergarten, it's more of a whole group project. But the research projects are perfect for second grade. So check them out. Read It Up is also great for second grade because you can really take them into a more challenging level at second grade. So you can check those out. But what Read It Up is, again, it really was in response to our district's new scope and sequence. And so when the scope and sequence came out, there was something called an IFL unit, and that unit focused on 2 books, Brave Irene and Dr. DeSoto. And so when we looked through what they wanted us to do with those books, we knew the kids could do it without a doubt, but we knew they also would need some scaffolding and support and some tools to help them with those books and what was being asked of them. And so we created our first Read It Up with Brave Irene and Dr. DeSoto. And because the kids were they knocked it out of the park with those, I knew that's where we should be going with our reading comprehension. And so that was our big focus this year was reading comprehension. And so that's why you see the Read It Ups. They've become super popular. We're hearing amazing feedback about them. What I've noticed in my classroom is that our comprehension skills have really skyrocketed. I've been popping into the classroom doing their running records. And I've seen that their retail and their comprehension skills on running records really go up. The way Read It Up is built, what we intend for it to do is really to get the kids thinking about the books, but also talking and writing about the books. And so they're spending a lot of time doing turn and talks and a lot of writing and drawing in response to the text. And so again, we've seen a huge improvement in our classroom this year using Read It Ups. We've heard great feedback from teachers all over the country who are using them. And so again, they would work for pre-K through second, just like the research projects.
So one thing I want to say about the research projects and the Read It Ups is if you're interested in any of those, if you go to the tksstore.com and you sign up for an account, you'll save 25%. You just want to create and activate your account, and then you'll get an email with a code that'll give you 25% off your next order. So you just go to tksstore.com and create your account, and then be sure you also activate it because you will not get the code until you actually activate your account. All right, next question. This one is from Laura. How do you categorize your library books? Do you do it by author or by topic?
So our library is organized by several different things: author, topic, genre. And so we have a very detailed blog post about how it works. But what I've done is I wanted it to, because we have probably thousands of books in our classroom library, and I'm always buying more. So I wanted something that the kids could use, but that they could keep organized. And it didn't just turn into a disaster that I had to constantly be fixing. So the way it's organized is author. So we have boxes, book boxes. There's authors, topics or genres, themes. And so every box is numbered. So we have, I think we're up to like 64 boxes right now. So we have box 1 through box 64. All of the books that go in box number 1 are numbered with a number 1. So when the kids have a book, or when they grab a book from the classroom library, when they're done, they can look at it and say, oh, number 1, it goes back in box number 1. So it's super easy for them and for me to keep the library organized. And again, you can find a very detailed blog post on the website about that. And so again, I'll remind you, you don't have to go anywhere tonight to enter the giveaways. By being in the chat, you are already automatically entered into the giveaways. And so again, tonight we're sponsored by our friends at ESGI. So a huge shout out to ESGI. They have sponsored every submissions for Smorgie Live for the last 4 years. Again, you can use the code Smorgie to get your 60-day free trial and save $40 off the price of ESGI. We're also giving away a TKS Bootcamp bundle and a $50 gift card to the TKS online store.
So here's my problem with doing these giveaways. My hands are full, and so I can't do them because I have to be able to get their email addresses. And so I can't get in here and get names and get email addresses because I have no way to type or anything. So not sure what to do.
I got it.
Okay, so you can.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to announce the name, and then you can type and handle what needs to be done. We're going to do these giveaways. We're going to do all three, and then I'm leaving.
Okay.
Okay, and you can handle the rest of it.
Okay.
So she's not going to call. So giveaway number one, this is for a $50 gift certificate to the TKSstore.com. The winner is Jill Jimmier. Jill Jimmier, Jimmer. Jill, if you are in the chat, I need you to please type "I'm here" in the chat. And then we're going to need your email address. So you'll type your "I'm here"
Jill's
and
here.
then give us your email address, Jill. And then we will be in touch via email to give you your prize. Again, this is for a $50 gift certificate to the TKSstore.com. So Jill, if you can please give us your email address there in the chat. While Jill is hopefully typing her email address, I'm going to go ahead and do the second giveaway, and this is for ESGI. This is for a 1-year subscription to ESGI. The winner is Michelle Sayer, Sayre. Michelle Sayer, if you are here, I need you to type "I'm here" in the chat along with your email address. Again, Michelle Sayer, I need you to type "I'm here" and your email address in the chat. If you already have ESGI, that's okay. We'll be in touch via email, and we can work out the logistics. You can gift it to someone else if you wish, but we will work that out. But again, Michelle Sayer, if you're here, please type "I'm here" and your email address in the chat.
Hey, Jill, I need you to type your email address for us so we can make sure to reach out to you with your prize. There's
Guys,
Michelle.
Without your email addresses, we cannot get in touch with you, and you cannot win.
I got Michelle.
So we need Jill.
And we need to do boot camp.
Jill Jimmier.
She's here. She said,
I know you're here, so we just need your email address. You said thanks and you wish you were here. But again, we need your email address. I would type it in the chat myself to let you know so that you can see it, but I can't type. I only have one hand, not really even one hand. And last but not least, the winner of the TKS Bootcamp Bundle is, I don't have a name, but your screen name is 66E Rose. 66E Rose. You have won the TKS Bootcamp Bundle. It's a $97 value. 66E Rose, if you're here, I need you to please type "I'm here" in the chat along with your email address. 66E Rose. Are you still here? And guys, I want to apologize for this tonight. I know you've taken time out of your night to come and join us. And so my apologies that we are having to kind of take things on a different direction, but that's what happens when you have a newborn. So we will have to have a babysitter for our next submission for Smorgie Live, or we know we can't do them. All right, so last call for, did we get Jill's email address?
Not yet.
All right, Jill, we're going to have to draw another name without your email address, unfortunately. So Jill, if you've left or something, I'm sorry about that, but we are going to choose another name for the $50 certificate for the TKSstore.com, and that winner is Jessica Herndon.
Oh, there's Jill.
Jill?
Yeah, okay, Jill, we see you, but we need you to put in your email address.
Did you type to her?
Yes.
Jill, we know you're here, sweetie, but we need your email address.
You have to type your email address for us.
If we don't have an email address for you, we don't have a way to get your prize to you.
And we're still waiting on E Rose. 66 E Rose.
And guys, if we can't respond quick, we're going to have to draw another name because I have to get out of here with this newborn and we have to get on with our chat tonight. So 66E Rose, are you here? Can you type in the chat for 66E Rose? That's her username in the chat. Okay, Jessica Herndon is the winner of the $50 gift certificate.
Got it.
So Jill, I'm sorry, sweetie, but you've been disqualified because we do not have your email address. If you want to shoot us an email, we'll see what we can do to try to help you out. But unfortunately, we have to move on. So Jessica Herndon, you are now the winner of the $50 gift certificate from the TKS store. Thank you so much for sending us your email address. We'll be in touch shortly with directions on how to claim your prize.
And there's 66E Rose. 66E Rose. We just need you to type your email address and we're good.
So 66E Rose, welcome back to the chat. Please type your email address for us. Thanks everybody for helping us out. I see everybody's like, come on girls, come on.
I love it.
We need you to do this stuff.
It really does take a village, y'all. It really does.
It really does. Thank you guys for helping us. And of course now she's calming down and starting to fall asleep.
She's like, I was just wanting to see how you guys could handle this.
Did you type to 66 Rose?
No drum roll? No, how about just a crying baby? Well, 66 Rose said she was on a delay, so we can go ahead and go on, and I'll keep an eye out for her
email. She's not on a delay if she's responding, though. Like on the chat, she's not on a delay. Sometimes the...
Well, let's go ahead and keep answering questions, and I'll keep an eye on it, and if I don't see it, I'll pick a new winner.
Okay, all right. And since she's calmed down, I'm going to stay.
Okay.
But if she starts crying again, I'm going to leave. So, again, we're waiting for 66E Rose. We're waiting for your email address. So, let's see. Where were we on questions? From Kara. How do you implement handwriting instruction into your classroom? By the way, I love my doorbell.
Oh, the doorbell is great. And we always have to give a shout out to our friends at Sato Tech for the amazing doorbell and for always being great supporters of teachers. Handwriting, we do handwriting as part of our ABC boot camp at the beginning of the school year. And so every day we do a letter and a sound. And part of that is explicit handwriting instruction. And then, of course, the kids practice. And then we continue to work on handwriting all year. But the explicit teaching of handwriting is included and with ABC Boot Camp, and so it happens during ABC Boot Camp at the beginning of the year.
Something else I want to make sure that we address really quick, because I see there are like 92 people watching, but when I look at how many people are signed in, there's only like 20 of you. So that means there are only 20 of you that are eligible for the giveaways tonight. So the other 71 that are watching, you're not signed in, so you can't win. So we always make sure we tell everyone that, like we put it out there a lot, that you have to be signed in. So so make sure in the future that you sign in and you're actually participating in the chat so that you're eligible for the prizes.
To sign in, you basically sign in with a YouTube or a Google account. So Gmail, Google, YouTube, any of those is how you would sign in with one of those accounts.
From Laura, how do you categorize your library? Oh, we did that one. Sorry. You tell my mind is distracted. From Katie, what program do you use to build phonemic awareness skills?
So we have our district provides the Heggerty Phonics book, and we use a little bit of that. ABC Boot Camp provides a lot of phonemic awareness. We do a lot of phonemic awareness during guided reading in small groups, and we really incorporate it into what we're working on. And one of the things that we do every day that really helps with phonemic awareness is changing our name. And so the way it works is every day the boss of the day picks a sound. And so whatever sound they pick, we all change our names to that sound. So if the boss of the day picks M and your name is Todd, then your name would become Maud. And so that's one way that we do phonemic awareness every day. And we also, depending on looking at data and what the kids need, rhyming words, beginning sounds, middle sound, ending sounds, segmenting, all those things. We just really we incorporate them into what we're working on, whether it's whole group or small group. And I got E-Rose.
Yay. Thanks, E-Rose.
Got it. All right, E-Rose, we got it. 6-6 E-Rose. All right, so we got our 3 winners. Thank you, guys.
So this question is from Jonna Chrisman. Do you use Fountas and Pinnell to benchmark?
We do. So Fountas and Pinnell is what we use for our TLAs, our running records. And we do that 3 times a year. We do it at the beginning of the year. In kindergarten, we do it at the beginning of the year only for the kids who we think are ready for it. Middle of the year, we do it for all kids. And then, of course, at the end of the year as well.
Adeline says bye.
Bye, Adeline.
Thank you guys for joining us for submissions for Smorgie Live. And hopefully we will see you at another time when I'm not so fussy.
She's like almost asleep, and then she's like, oh wait, I don't want to go to sleep yet. All right. You want to bring her over? So we'll introduce you to Adeline, and then we'll get back to questions.
This is the noisemaker tonight. This is your entertainment for the evening.
So there's Adeline.
This is Adeline Rose Warren. She's wearing her little, hey, come here.
It's Mini Smorgie.
Little Mini Smorgie onesie.
She's
You
like,
can
okay,
tell
I'm
she's
out.
not happy.
Oh, baby girl.
I'm so sorry. Come on. Come on. I'm so sorry. We're going to go put you to bed, hopefully.
All right, so let's get back to questions. So I think I just answered the running records question. I'm going to scroll back up. So kind of bear with me. I'm not used to this part. We did handwriting. Do you teach a separate writing curriculum or just in response to your research projects? And so we used to have a dedicated writing block in our schedule, and we did a writer's workshop. Unfortunately, that was taken out for a more extended intervention time. And you can tell by the look on my face, I don't agree with that decision. But so now we do writing. We teach writing as part of Read It Up, as part of the research projects, and in small groups. And so we're teaching them how to write as well as as writing in response to literature and to research. When we did have a writer's workshop, we used Writing Through the Year by Dee Dee Wills and Deanna Jump, and I highly recommend that. I saw tremendous writing growth with my kids using their writing product, so definitely check it out. It's Writing Through the Year from Dee Dee Wills and Deanna Jump. We got writing record. Do you change out your library books? I don't. So the way it works is we have all of the books are out for the kids to use anytime they want. We have a display shelf, and so whatever research project or unit or theme we're working on, I pull those books out and put them on the display shelf so they're out so the kids can see them and use them. And then when we change topics, we put those back and then we pull out new books. But the kids have access to the entire classroom library, so they have access to all of the books anytime they want. Do you have blocks set aside for phonics? We do. So we have the way it works is with our schedule this year, we had a 30-minute phonics block, and then we had our planning time, and then we came back and had like an hour and 30 minutes of literacy instruction. So we have about 20 to 30 minutes a day of phonics, and so we use the TKS boot camp curriculum as our phonics curriculum, and so it's a very explicit phonics instruction, and so of course it uses the circle charts, so the kids are used to it. So we're teaching the phonics skills in context. It's not in isolation. We do word building and word writing, and then in small groups we use the decodable readers. So again, they're seeing that phonics skill in text, in print, and they're applying that skill to books that they're reading. And so again, about 20 to 30 minutes of phonics every day. Now let's see. Can you do a run over of how you do your centers? Yeah, I'll go over them briefly. But then you can also head to the blog, and there's a very detailed blog post about the centers, but really it's about choice. And so we have a center wheel, and the wheel tells the kids what their choices are for that day. When they look at the wheel, they're going to have two choices. And so they might have tubs and reading, library. And so they can pick either one of those. And within each of those choices, they have a lot more choices. So they can, of course, read any book in the classroom. So they've got tons of choices to read. If they go to tubs, they can pick any tub of their color choice. When they finish their book, they can read another book, or they can go to their tubs. If they finish their tub, they can do another tub, or they can go to their books. And so they're free to do anything in those two choices for that day. They can't go to other choices. They only have those two choices, but they have tons and tons of things that they can do within their two center choices. We don't rotate. We stay in our two choices for the full hour of literacy centers and about 30 to 45 minutes of math centers. And so again, it's all about having choices so they don't run out of things to do. They're no early finishers, no need to rotate, and we keep them engaged for that full time. The EL students, do your EL students get additional support outside of your classroom? If so, how long? If not, how do you support your non-English speakers? Well, I am the support. I'm EL certified, and so I provide them with their EL instruction in the classroom, and that's done through small groups. And that also happens during that intervention time as well. But my thing with EL students, especially in kindergarten, is that what we're doing in kindergarten is really what we should be doing for our EL students. And what we do for our EL students is what we should be doing in kindergarten. So it really works well. But lots of visuals, lots of movement-based learning, getting them to talk. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that we do in our classroom is the kids are always talking and having conversations. And so that's one of the best things you can do for your EL students. And so their support happens in the classroom. We do have EL co-teachers who help as well, and they're usually pulling some small groups. And that's usually based on data or students who might be needing a little extra support. They might get pulled out for 20 or 30 minutes a day, as well as what we're doing in the classroom. I'd love to try the trampoline in first grade. What do you think? Absolutely. I think the trampoline works at any grade. It's a fantastic behavior incentive. It's a great motivator. The kids love it. It's a great way to get movement in the classroom. And so I say bring the trampoline into every classroom, and I think you'll see a huge impact. Do you have an example daily schedule posted somewhere? Yes, it's on the website, and we have it posted on Facebook. Of course, it changes year to year. And so I've seen our tentative schedule for next year. And I will say I'm pretty happy with it because for years we have been pushing our admin to put literacy and math in the morning. And that's what we have this year. And so we were able to get them to do really the bulk of the learning in the morning, and then, lunch, recess, intervention in the afternoon. And so we're really excited about that because research says that early childhood, they learn better in the morning. And so, we all know that based on what we see in our classrooms every day, the mornings go so smoothly. The afternoons are hard because the kids are tired, they're overstimulated. And so we've now shifted a lot of our academics to the morning. So I'm super excited about that. Once that schedule is set, I'll of course share that as well. But you can find this year's schedule on Facebook and on our website. Let me see. Looking for, let's see. I'm scrolling through the questions. Let's see. Keep asking them. I'll get to them, I promise. I'm planning on not using tables and chairs next year. What other kinds of seating do you recommend to have enough work areas? Here's what I recommend for flexible seating. Nothing. I know when you look at social media, you see these classrooms full of stuff for flexible seating. You don't need any of it. The idea behind flexible seating is simply about giving your kids a choice. And so if you want them to sit on the floor, lay on the floor, stand up, or sit at a table or a desk, that's all you have to have for flexible seating. In our classroom, we use bath mats and clipboards. And so they do everything on the floor with their clipboards. Sometimes they use the bath mats, sometimes they don't. It's just totally up to them. We kept one round table so they can sit there. We have a high top table and some chairs they can sit at. Of course, we have our stage, they can sit on the stage. And then I have a big green comfy chair that I sit in that they can use. That's it. So don't think you need to go buy a bunch of stuff to do flexible seating. You don't. You just need clipboards, and you need to give them choice. Now, if you want to have other things in the classroom, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't think that in order to do flexible seating, that it's a requirement that you have a bunch of stuff. You really just need to give them choice and voice in the classroom. How long does the ABC Bootcamp segment last? So ABC Bootcamp is designed to be done in 26 days. So it's a letter and sound a day. And so we start at the very beginning of the year. And so, of course, it takes a little bit longer when you first start it. And so once the kids settle into the routine, it gets to be a lot quicker. The first week, I'm going to say it's going to take, 40 minutes when you think about the circle map, the handwriting, and making the hat. But as you go through ABC Bootcamp, it gets a lot faster, because what happens is after a week or so, the kids can start doing the hats independently. And so then it really speeds up the process. And so towards the end of those 26 days, you're looking at about 20 minutes for ABC Bootcamp. And then the kids go off and do the hat independently. And again, you can really, the beauty of ABC Bootcamp and the beauty of the TKS Bootcamp curriculum is that they're completely flexible. And so I created them. They were designed to work with any schedule, any curriculum, any scope and sequence. And so they really can be completely adapted to fit the needs of your classroom, of your school, of your district, and most importantly, of your kids. And so when I say we do a letter a day, you could do a letter a week with ABC Bootcamp if you wanted. And so it really will work in any classroom setting within any scope and sequence that you have. Let's see, got writing. And let's see, what are your thoughts? My thoughts on retention, especially in kindergarten, is I think that there are students who absolutely 100% benefit from being retained. And so every year I have at least one who I would retain in kindergarten for another year, because I can see like another year of kindergarten would set them up for great success. Unfortunately, our district doesn't retain anyone at all, and so that's never an option. But I think for kids who it would absolutely benefit, I think it's something that we should be doing. Let's see. We get recess we usually get a 30-minute recess. And so it varies every year what time it is, but we do get a 30-minute recess. You're not afraid of liability with the trampoline? My team is. So here's my response to that. If my kids can go on the playground and climb the monkey bars and swing on the swings and climb the rock wall in the gym, then the trampoline is no more dangerous than any of those. And so we could go as far as to say the rusty playground equipment and the mold in the carpet and the lead in the water in our building. And so there really is no liability concern, because it's nothing any more dangerous than riding that crazy scooter around in the gym until you crash into your friends. So no, I'm not at all worried about liability, because guess what? They could walk up on our stage and fall. They could slip on a marker and fall, which happened in my classroom. A kid slipped on a marker one year, fell, cracked their head open. So the trampoline is no more of a liability than anything else in the classroom. I don't remember the title of the article about academics in the morning, but if you do some research, you'll find lots of information out there about school start times and how that works. And basically what it says is early childhood, they need an earlier morning. As the kids get older, they need a later start time. So you can find lots of information about that. The bath mats they're rolled up and stored in a laundry basket. ABC Bootcamp and Foundations, they work very, very well together. We have lots of teachers who use ABC Bootcamp in conjunction with Foundations. So it absolutely works together. And so, like I said earlier, ABC Bootcamp and the TKS Bootcamp curriculum are completely flexible, and they work with any curriculum. I use anchor charts for everything. I think they're majorly important, and I 1,000,000% agree with you. I think anchor charts are absolutely important in our classrooms, and I see my kids referring to ours all the time. And so how many tablets of chart paper do you go through? A lot. Of course, we do our morning message every day, so we're using chart paper all the time. And then, of course, all of the circle charts for the TKS boot camp, and then read it up, research projects. So we go through a lot. I get my chart paper on classroomdirect.com. I found it, you can get it there for about $4, and that's the cheapest I've found. So it's classroomdirect.com. You'll get it for about $4. Let's see, a lot of chart paper, you're right. Besides when they come in each day, how do you use, so besides when they come in each day, how do you use the trampoline? The trampoline is a behavior incentive. So we're working, I might be like, ooh, that's a great answer, get 10 bounces. Or I love those manners, get 10 bounces. Or thanks for helping your friend clean up, get 10 bounces. So really it's just used as a behavior incentive throughout the year. 66 EROs, how did you get your admin on board to do it? Do parents freak out? I'm not sure what you're asking about, maybe flexible seating. I asked my principal 8 years ago, I said, hey, I don't have any room in my classroom. I want to get rid of my tables and desks, and I want to do everything on the floor. He said, go for it. Parents have been great with it. The key to getting the parents and the families on board is make sure that you are, at the beginning of the year, you explain how it works, why it works, and the benefits of it. And that gets the parents on board. You can't just expect them to show up in a classroom and say, hey, your kids are going to be on the floor for the rest of the school year. They need to know why, the how, the why, and how it's going to help their kids. Sticky chart paper is great. Yeah, we use a rope and clothespins, and that's how we hang our chart papers. So we don't really use the sticky. But yeah, you're right. It's cool stuff. What books? For running records, we use Fountas and Pinnell. And so we have a kit that we use, and that's how we do our running records. For teaching guided reading throughout the year, I use Reading A to Z. That's where I get my books from for our guided reading time. How do you come up with ideas for centers? So lots of different things. I wish Jason were in here and he could tell you about this. But a lot of times it just happens like walking through a store and I'm like, oh my God, look at that. That would make a great center. So it's just one of those things where like I'll see something and I'm like, that's great. I'm going to get that and I'll turn it into a center. For the centers that I'm creating that we have on TPT and on the TKS store and on the website, it's most of the time it's based on what my kids need practice with. And so I'll be like, okay, my kids need to practice subtraction. Let's make a subtraction center. Sometimes it's inspired by clip art. So I might find some super cute clip art and be like, oh God, I want to make a center out of that. A great example is last year I found some really fun glittery skee ball clip art. I bought it, turned it into a math center. So really it comes from lots of places, lots of inspiration. And then sometimes we'll do a center like the stacking cups, and it's such a hit, we just keep making those based on other skills. I'm teaching kindergarten for the first time after coming from second grade. What is the biggest challenge? So I'm going to give you two answers. The biggest challenge with the kids is don't assume that they can do anything. If you want them to line up a certain way, teach it. If you want them to sit a certain way, teach it. If you want them to put their coat up a certain way, teach it. That's the hardest part, is that you have to teach them every single thing you want them to do. The other biggest challenge, and this is an adult challenge, is that kindergarten is not respected a lot of times, and we're seen as babysitters. And so we're kind of pushed to the side and kind of, blamed for a lot of things. And so just know that going into it. And so you have to speak up and be an advocate for your students and for what's appropriate and what's best for them. And so make sure that you're ready to stand up and speak up for your kids and say, hey, that's not going to work for us. The flip side of that is when we have those things come up in our building, we don't complain about them without a solution. So we'll say, okay, that's not going to work for kindergarten, but what would work is if we do it this way. And we found a much more receptive administration when we go to them and say, hey, this is not necessarily going to work, but if we could do it this way, then they're much more willing to listen and give us the opportunity to get to where we need to go, just in a different way. So would you recommend laminating the anchor charts for reuse? I don't. And the reason I don't is because creating them every year with your class makes them much more authentic, makes them much more personal for the kids. And so I think remaking them every year just is much better. Something like I do have one in my classroom that's When Not to Interrupt Me. And that one is laminated because it's going to be up all the time and it's going to stay up. And so, but anything that I'm creating with the kids, we remake it. We make new, we make new ones every year. Let's see. All right, I think we got all the questions answered. And look at that, with 1 minute to spare. Woo! So if you have any last minute questions, now's the time. Let me scroll back and see if we got them all. You're right, they do want to see us draw on the anchor charts. And that's such a huge part of the TKS bootcamp curriculum, is the kids coming up with the words and the teacher drawing them. And so it makes it personal. It's much more engaging. The kids, they're going to laugh and giggle because I'm a horrible artist. And so it's more relatable. They have ownership. And so it really does make it much better. So we store the anchor charts in a few different ways. The anchor charts for the current unit or theme that we're working on, we have a rope in the classroom. And so we use clips and they hang from the rope. We also have a couple of spots on the wall with clothespins glued to the wall. And when we're done with them, what we do is we have an anchor chart rack in the back. And you can find out how we made that on the blog. And so we take them down and we hang them back there. So they're there all year. The kids have access to them. And it's a lot of fun to watch them go back and go through and look at those anchor charts and stuff that we've created throughout the year. Hey, Laura, I must have missed your question, Laura Stouffer, but if you'll type it again, I'll try to answer it right before we wrap up. Fun end of the year activities. Yeah, go to the blog and type in Backwards Bootcamp, and we have a whole list of things that we do at the end of the year. Bubble Day, Beach Day, Crazy Hair Day, Donuts and Dogs, fly swatter painting, glitter bombs. So you can go to the website, thekindergartensmorgasbord.com. Check it out. We've got a whole a list of things that we do every day for the last 26 days of school. How do you implement technology in the classroom? Based on all of the research about technology and young kids, we've scaled back the technology in the classroom. So the only way that we engage with technology in our classroom is with QR codes. So the kids are using QR codes to practice different math and literacy skills. And you can find those on the TKS store. They're called Woof Woof QR codes. There's I'm a Letter Detective QR codes. And it's called Strike. It's a bowling themed QR codes activity. So that's how we bring in the technology. We brought Elevate to Philadelphia last year, so we won't be back in Philadelphia for a while. But if you want to know where we're taking Elevate, you can head over to elevateyourclassroom.com. Check out all of the locations. We'll be in Nashville in June, Austin in July, and Chicago in October. I know that Nashville has very, 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 very few seats left. Like we're talking probably 10 or less at this point for Nashville. So if you want to join us for Elevate Nashville, you got to get your tickets today. And again, it's elevateyourclassroom.com. And Elevate is designed for pre-K through second grade. So if you are pre-K through second grade, you can absolutely come to Elevate, and I promise you're going to have fun. You're going to get lots of great prizes and swag. We're going to feed you, and you're going to get tons of great content for your classroom. Let's see. When doing running records, what is the difference from independent instructional frustration for moving kids up levels? Our district has some very cut and dry guidelines for those levels, and I don't remember them off the top of my head, but we have certain percentages, certain comprehension scores that they have to meet. So instructional is what we're working on during guided reading. Independent, they're able to really read it, comprehend it, and frustration is when it's just too hard for them. But that instructional level is really what I focus on during my guided reading time. Let's see. Coming to the Northwest, not this year, but who knows what 2020 holds. And if you want to suggest somewhere for Elevate, you can go to elevateyourclassroom.com, and we have a suggestion box, so you can type in where you would like to see us. All right, it is 9:03. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us for tonight's Submissions for Smorgie Live. Thanks for hanging out and sticking with us and helping us as we navigate a new way of life around here with a newborn. And so if you're curious about the adoption process and where we are and how that all worked for us, we do have a Facebook group called Two Guys Adopt. Two Guys and a Baby, Jason and Greg Adopt. You can find it on Facebook, and you can go and we share all about the adoption process, and we've shared all about Adeline and her birth and what it's like to be dads in that Facebook group. So you can check that out. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors, ESGI, for always being supportive of not only Submissions for Smorgie Live, but teachers everywhere. And again, remember, you can use the code SMORGIE to get your 60-day free trial of ESGI. And that code will also save you $40 off of the price of ESGI. And again, it's esgisoftware.com. Check out the tksstore.com for all of your classroom needs. Check out the kindergartensmorgasbord.com for tons of ideas, activities, resources, freebies. Facebook, you can find us on Facebook with tons of videos. If you want to come join us for an Elevate conference, head over to elevateyourclassroom.com. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us. I know it's a busy, stressful time of the year. So thanks for taking time out of your night to join us. Hang in there. I know it's hard. It's the end of the year. So hang in there. You're doing an amazing job. Focus on those kids for the last few days. Focus on loving them and making the last few days memorable for them and for you. Be proud of what you've accomplished this year and what your students have accomplished this year. Keep up the good work. Thank you for all that you do in your classroom and for your kids. We will see you next month for Submissions for Smorgie Live. And we hope to see you all at an Elevate conference and for the next Submissions for Smorgie Live. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.